Oh boy, unscripted, raw, uncut. This is how we do it. Welcome back, everybody. This is another awesome episode of the Vegans Who Live podcast, brought to you by your favorite vegan hosts. We got Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, and John Thomas. I'm so vegan I can't even say meat. The Bodybuilding Vegan. And today we got a very, very special guest. Y'all are gonna want to pop out your Instagram real quick and go search for Sexy Fit Vegan, aka Ella Majors. We have her on the podcast. And Ella, did I say your name correctly?
You did, actually.
Okay.
That's
it's
awesome.
Not Magers, it's Majors. All right, cool. I've heard other people say it, so I was pretty confident. So, all right, we got no script. We're just gonna rip it and roll. I think we alluded to this last time, Brooke, and then we weren't even able to get this episode started, but we had a question.
Oh, yeah, question. Yeah.
So we've got a question game for everybody.
Both of you.
Okay.
Oh, for all of us. And then I'll ask Brooke her own question. Yeah, so let's jump into that.
Okay.
We'll get into your background in a minute.
I'm not totally sure when this episode is going to air, but Halloween is coming up very close. So I'm curious what your favorite vegan Halloween candies are.
Oh,
Yo,
gosh.
This is the Instagram reel to promote this episode because this is going to go viral. All right, favorite vegan Halloween candies. Ella, you're on point.
Oh, this is really a hard one for me because I don't even eat candy and I have no children. So this, can John start?
That's how you know you're like a level 100 super vegan. You're so vegan you don't eat candy and you don't have kids because you're trying to save the world. I will start while you can rack your brain, Ella. Oh, man. Well, okay, so I was hanging out at Vegan International Co. and they got vegan versions of everything. They have one that's like, oh man, it's like a play on words. It's like it's even better, or it's the better one, and it's a vegan Snickers. That I've not tried, but it looked really freaking good. Traditional candy. I like Twizzlers. I do like Twizzlers. Yes. I do like Sour Patch Kids.
Yes.
The new shout out to my boy Alex Nearest. He just went and got some of the vegan Reese's, the plant-based Reese's. Those are pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Swedish fish. Dots.
Oh, Swedish fish. Yeah.
Swedish fish. Ooh. Yeah, those are so good. I love Dots too. They're definitely like a guilty pleasure. I think Jolly Ranchers are vegan too.
Yeah, I believe
which are really good.
Are Junior Mints vegan?
Yes. Right?
I think so. I'm trying to contribute here because I literally I don't eat candy. I'm so boring.
Junior Mints, I would forget about them, but every time I see them when I'm trick-or-treating, I'm getting them.
I do love I love the Justin's. The Justin's peanut
butter cups.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Justin's are top notch. Reese's, you can go somewhere else. Justin's are way better. And they're kind of healthy. They're like an Ella style candy. That makes sense. Yeah. Or do you say Justin's or not? Or not Justin's, they
have the dark ones.
Junior. Oh, the dark?
Yeah, I don't are all Justin's vegan?
Oh no.
They have gelatins. Okay.
Gelatin.
I was thinking that might be the case. Thanks, Sean.
All right, there's something that's vegan then. All right, or I've been a bad vegan.
A lot of the fruity ones are like accidentally vegan, I've noticed. It's kind of like the chocolate is when you start getting into murky waters. But okay, so everybody can answer. What about Halloween costume? Are we doing any Halloween costumes?
Man, I don't know who to go as, if I'm being honest here. People are like, go as the Hulk. And I'm like, the only thing that I got of the Hulk is like size. That's it. Like, I don't know. What could I do with a beard and I thought of this with Sean. Sean knows. I could dye this thing red and go as a god of war, or keep it green and go as the vegan god of war.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you know what
I like that one?
Yeah.
I do like that.
Zangief, says Sean. I don't know what Zangief is. Maybe that's him.
I mean, you could really do anything, because that's kind of what I did with my Princess Leia costume. I was like, if Princess Leia lived, like in a galaxy where Princess Leia lives, this is what she would look like, basically. So, I mean, you could pull off anything and then just kind of like add your own little spice to it.
I like the dressing up the dogs sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I don't do the party thing anymore very much, but I've got a grate and my last dog wore it, but I think Fiona might wear it too. She's got a motorcycle jacket, vegan leather, of course, and the doggles, and we'll go riding on my scooter. That could be fun.
Aw,
So
that's
cute.
cute. I need a picture. And
Yeah,
you could, Brooke, you could
a
create.
sombrero. I found him a sombrero at Walmart. So he's been kind of like a, I don't even know what that would be, but it was just cute on him. And then one year I made him a zebra because he's black and white, and he hates it. He absolutely hates it. Like, he just despises me, and he won't even move. He just like stands there and like looks at me. And then one year I made him a unicorn, and that was by far my favorite.
I like that. I'm gonna go there. I don't know if this is PC or not, but his name is Chief. You could dress him up as like an Indian chief, like a Native American chief.
Yeah, I could try to find that.
Oh, well, sorry, my brain's all over the place right now. You guys have like unlocked something here, something that should probably be buried away. You could dress him up as the dog from the Grinch that goes as the reindeer.
Oh yeah, that'd be cute.
Yeah, that'd be cute.
And then you could be the Grinch. That's no.
I could be the Grinch.
You could be like the Hulk Grinch.
Actually, somebody was gonna pay me. I think they said like $200 a day to dress up as the Grinch, and I think Thanos. The hair was Thanos. Yeah,
Thanos is pretty jacked.
I'll be a green Thanos. That could work. I snap my fingers and half the world goes vegan, just like that.
Why stop at half though?
We won't go there. All right, I'm back to the candy. Yeah, a lot of the fruity stuff is usually safe. The only areas you guys got to really watch for, well, apparently everything, even the junior. Why would they have gelatin in a chocolate candy? That makes no sense. But like anything that's like a gummy worm or a gummy bear, those like Sour Patch is fine, but the little trolley gummies aren't. Ella, how long have you been vegan?
29 years.
How old were you when you were vegan?
15.
So have you been trick-or-treating as a vegan?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, you're too old. A little too old.
She grew up way too fast. I still went trick-or-treating at like 14. I also had younger siblings, but I still went. So I just had to pick through the candy and trade with other kids. But yeah. Oh, well, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but my brother, he's vegan, and he's not super like activism vegan, but he's like, you should do a vegan trunk or treat. I was like, that's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Walmart parking lot or something, be like, send your kids over. I got candy in my trunk. That'll go over really well. I need to have some other people there with me. Otherwise, that's going to be really weird. But I think it'd be cool. A way to hang out and still kind of celebrate. Anyways, all right. I'm just bullshitting now. Ella, thank you for coming on the podcast. You've been vegan for longer than most, so you've probably seen a lot of changes in the last few decades. We have no script, so why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you're about? Like, what are you up to? What do you do? Why'd you go vegan? Wherever your heart takes you there.
Ooh, yeah. Well, yeah, lots changed over 30 years. And let's see. So it was 1995 when I went fully vegan. And, I think one of the benefits of going vegan back then was that there really wasn't much food, much processed food on the market that was labeled vegan or that was vegan. So I really did, make that transition and did it in a pretty whole food, plant-based way, which I find very fortunate. Now, don't get me wrong. I am so jazzed about all the options that are out there. I am, a proponent of anything that's going to save the lives of animals, because that's the reason that I went vegan. I actually went vegetarian when I was 7 years old and made that connection with the food on my plate, with the animal that it was. And I knew at 7 years old that was my purpose, to be a voice for animals, to help people make that connection and to make the transition. And really, I feel like my whole life's been this journey of, okay, how can I make the biggest impact? Which is both great and really tough at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh-oh, did John freeze again?
Oh, I thought he was just thinking. He's contemplating.
Oh
Yeah, I
boy.
think he
Okay.
did freeze.
Well, maybe he can come back and we can cut this out. But yeah, that's really incredible. Yeah, I think now is probably easier than ever to go vegan because of those more processed products, because mostly they're convenience products. And I mean, there are some products too that I think there are people who may not quite be willing to go healthy vegan yet, but they're willing to go vegan. And then, then maybe they care about their health down the road, which is great. I mean, we need them all, but yeah. So it's interesting that it's changed so much, because I've only been vegan, gosh, probably like a fourth of the time you have, but about 6 years, and it's changed so much since I've been vegan. Like
Yeah.
it used to be, you could get like one vegan cream cheese, one vegan cheese, and now there's so many different options. So it's really cool. But yeah, so what was your diet like when you originally went vegan? What was your kind of go-to foods and meals?
Yeah, so I was actually really lucky. So like I said, I went vegetarian at 7 and started by just eating the side dishes off the dinner table, right? So my parents thought that it would be a phase, that I would, be vegetarian for a little bit and go back to eating everything. And it became pretty apparent pretty quickly that it was not a phase. I was like, every school assignment, it would ask, like, what do you believe in? I'd be like, I believe that eating any kind of animal for any reason is wrong. Why should we have to kill things if we've got so many other things that we can eat? It doesn't make any sense. And I was very vocal about it. I was a really shy kid too, by the way. My parents had to train me to say hello to people, because I would run and hide from people, like when I was 5 years old. But when it came to standing up for that belief, it was like all that went out the window. And I was just knew. I knew that's why I was here. So anyway, yeah, I was eating the side dishes off my parents' table. And then eventually my dad was an old hippie. So he had been vegetarian in his past. And he ended up going vegan too. My little sister went vegan, and my dad liked to cook. So we would he'd have one of those walks, and we'd do the tofu and the stir-fried vegetables, do that a lot. We'd experiment making tofu cheesecakes and, just lots of veggies, beans, tofu, all of those things. And I was lucky because I had pretty health conscious parents as it was. So our house wasn't already just filled with processed foods. So I feel really fortunate. I had parents who were really supportive. I've always been really strong-willed. So my mom jokes about how when I was 2, I would not let anybody put on my diaper. Like, I insisted on putting on my own diaper. I was also potty trained in an outhouse, fun fact. I grew up in a little log cabin for the first 4 years of my life, and we had an outhouse. We didn't have indoor plumbing. So yeah, grew up kind of rough and ragged there. But we moved to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and, it was a pretty progressive town, but I don't think I knew another vegan, growing up. And then say again?
Sorry, I believe I'm back now. I heard everything you said too. My microphone was fighting with my webcam to speak, and then it just kicked me off. But okay, I'm back now. That's incredible that at 2 you're trying to put on your own diaper. At 7 you went vegetarian. That I can kind of relate to that. Like, I remember throwing a tantrum at 4 that my dad was cooking fish. Like, I saw the fish dying, and that freaked me out. I also remember like crying because my mom beat me to the door once when I was like 3 because I wanted to be faster than her. And she wasn't racing, and I still lost, and I made her go back to the car and restart. Like, so I think I see the strong-willedness from such a young age. And then, sorry to jump back in, I just wanted to make sure that I was on. Being the only vegan that you knew, I can also relate to that. I didn't have social media at 13. I didn't have any other friends that were vegan at 13. It was just me. And you're doing this vegetarian at 7, vegan at 15, you said? Yeah. Yep. And back in the 90s, like, there was nobody else doing that. So how did you get your family on board? Did you convince any friends, or were you just kind of that weird vegan girl that nobody else is doing this?
Yeah, I was definitely that weird vegan girl. My dad did go vegetarian and then vegan. few years later, my little sister did the same thing. And in school, I was like, it was just so interesting thinking back to it, because I wasn't just the weird vegan girl in the corner. I was so full of hope that I could make a difference. I had this idea that, if only people knew what was happening behind the closed doors of factory farms, if only people knew what was happening in laboratories, they're surely going to go vegan immediately, just like me, because I didn't know. And then I found out, and then I immediately made the change. So I was really full of hope and really positive, even though I was also really connected to all the suffering taking place in the world, which was really hard. But I felt empowered that I could make a difference. So I'm in 8th grade, you guys, and I had PETA sending me, buttons, the buttons you pin on. I had the Boycott L'Oreal campaigns going on. I was handing out flyers to kids in school, getting them to wear the buttons, and I was leafleting, I was protesting, I was leading protests before I could even drive a car. And bless my parents' hearts, they would drop off their 15-year-old to sit in a cage on the side of the road, because I would organize protests, and I'd have a cage because I wanted to demonstrate the conditions of animals. But I did it all with it wasn't like from that angry standpoint that a lot of people feel. It was more this, I have a responsibility to tell people the truth. Do you know what I mean?
I do now. And I am further impressed with you the more I get to know about you. And I think that people have no clue how hard it is to do what you did. And I know you were probably just doing what you felt was right, or the bare minimum, or following your heart. But let's be real here. At that age, to have that confidence and that moral compass to do whatever's right, no matter how many people judge you, that's very, very hard to find. I was not that weird vegan in the corner. I was just that kid. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell hardly anyone I was vegetarian. I told my family. I got my brother and sister to go vegan, parents to go mostly vegetarian, but like, I didn't tell other people. I didn't want other people to know. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be bullied. I even knew people into my early 20s that only recently found out via social media that I'm vegan, and they had known me for 4 or 5 years. So I'm just impressed as hell. I cannot imagine what it must have been like to be your parents, because they must, on the one hand, know that you're following your heart and you're making a difference and you're being probably like the best offspring that any parent could want. But at the same time, that's scary for someone that's going to be so much putting themselves out there and like somewhat literally in harm's way in a cage on the side of the road to get a point across. Wow. That's just you and Robert Cheek, inspiring as fuck. I will say it. Like, that's really, really cool. I was not like
Robert's like my twin. We are the same age, been the vegan the exact same number of years, went vegan in the same year, everything. Yeah, like
freaky.
Blonde. It is freaky.
We're gonna Sean and I got the Vegan Foodie Fest coming up January 25th in Miami. I want you and Robert to be on a panel, the vegan twins. Like, we'll put you guys together and let you guys talk from a male and a female perspective, and that's really cool. That's really cool, dude. I'm off script and like I'm just like in La La Land right now, because I just can't I can't fathom how strong it must have been to do that. I was bullied as a kid, and I didn't speak up for a very, very, very long time. It's easier now that I have a bit of a platform in this size and all these other things to like kind of hedge my bets on. But to be a 15-year-old running to protest before you can drive, I just can't even fathom it. So that's amazing. The animals are lucky to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it was hard because I, once I really figured out that most people weren't ready to know, didn't want to know, that was quite the letdown in a really big way. And I took that really hard from a personal level of like, here I am, this is my purpose, and it's not working.
Yeah.
When did you kind of make that perspective shift? At what age?
It was probably towards the end of my last year in high school that it was like, and by the time I was 16, I was also diagnosed with depression. And so, and I was at that time, smoking a lot of pot, So my parents, my mom was, and kind of mixed up in, I was friends with everybody. I was kind of that person who was like friends with the popular kids, friends with the potheads, friends with everybody, but never feeling like I really fit into anywhere as well. You know, I was friendly with everyone, and I didn't have my fit vegan crew, you know. And I'd been into sports since I was 5, so I was an athlete and all of that. But yeah, by the time I was graduating high school, it was like, all right, I think I'm giving up on. I will never give up on my purpose, but I will shift how I'm going to go about trying to fulfill it, because I didn't feel like the direct activism was working. And so then things took a shift after college.
Was it like experiences that you had while you were protesting, or people that you had interacted with? What kind of brought you to that perspective shift?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, doing any sort of protest or leafleting, I mean, the profanities, people would yell at you. There was so much anger and hate, and, you know, people feel very threatened by that. And again, like I was coming at it from this standpoint of, I want to share this information. And back then there was not the internet. This information was not readily available. So we were getting, you know, boxes of pamphlets shipped in from different organizations to help us spread the word, because we didn't have social media. We didn't have Google, where you could just go and, you know, find things out. So it was very hidden. And so I was like, I just got to tell people, I got to share this information. It was very much a sharing is caring kind of thing. And yeah, people didn't want to know. They would yell at you. They would curse at you. And there I was, 15, 16, 17 years old, you know, thinking that I had this, you know, this key to helping people not only, and at that time, I also knew it was better for their health, right? My foundational reason was animals, but we were talking about how plants make you healthy. And again, that information wasn't out there. Yeah, people were mean. People were freaking mean.
Yeah. People suck.
People suck.
People suck. I think you're ahead of your time in a sense. Like, imagine like if you were 500 years ago trying to promote veganism, it'd be hard to get people on board with that when they were still okay with slavery. And now, like, you're with this information, you can see that it's wrong for the animals to die, but you can't. At 15 and your age, probably the best way to show slaughterhouse footage would be like a VCR. Like, that's probably if it even existed. Like, what are you going to do? Carry that around with you and like hope somebody, like, not easy. Nowadays, it's so easy to be an activist. Anybody can get online. Anybody can just pull up a YouTube video on their smartphone and show somebody what actually happens. And then I think we have now going for us something really strong is the health implications. I'm not out here to say I'm the pinnacle of health. I'm a vegan bodybuilder. Anybody that's a bodybuilder is not healthy, and that's okay. However, you can even tie your argument in now is like, look, we love these animals. That's why we don't kill them. But I love you too. I don't want you to get cancer. I don't want you to get diabetes. I don't want you to have a stroke. And that's how we can maybe get some people that we won't get otherwise. Some people care about their health, and maybe they would be more willing to go plant-based. And then we alluded to earlier the alternatives. Back in '95, it's like stop eating hamburgers. Most people would be like, well, what do I do? Oh, we're gonna go make this black bean walnut mushroom burger. It's freaking great. And they're like, yeah, I ain't gonna do that. That's too much work. But now throw them an Impossible Burger, and you know, maybe it's not the healthiest thing. It's probably still healthier than a regular burger, but it's not hard for them. It's just buying one different thing at the store versus another, and that wasn't available back then. So back to you being really ahead of your time, and the fact that you came to this all in your own conclusion is incredible, because I didn't. I had a friend sort of try to pressure me at 10 years old to go vegetarian, and that was what led me down the path. And then I read a PETA magazine, thanks PETA, at 13, that helped me go vegan. So like I had some assists. It wasn't just me. You and Robert both incredible.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
So you said you were an athlete since you were 5, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of sports were you into, and how did that influence your future training as an adult?
Yeah, so I started with gymnastics and swimming as a 5-year-old. So I think I was competing on the swim team at 5 years old, and gymnastics probably by the time I was 6. So I spent a few years gymnastics, did summer swimming through middle school, high school, did dance, did taekwondo, volleyball in high school. And then when I went to college, I got into weightlifting and hit the gym. So I didn't do any more sports necessarily until I got into Muay Thai when I was 22, but really started at the gym and got pretty addicted, as we do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can't help it. So was that part of your new kind of strategy when you made this kind of like big perspective shift when you got to college and you kind of changed your activism style? Was it partly to incorporate like athletics and health and fitness?
Yeah, exactly. So as I started to gain a really strong, muscular, lean physique, people would start asking me what I was doing to get so muscular and lean. And of course, I was thrilled to share about how I was doing it, eating exclusively plants. So that became my new in, right? And it was so much more welcomed by other people. It was so much more well received because people were asking me. And then I was telling them. I wasn't just telling them information that they weren't ready to hear. They were actually asking me. And I became a personal trainer and ran some health clubs and taught fitness classes. And so for anyone who was open and interested, I would help guide them in their nutrition and of course whip them into shape. But of course, like you were saying, John, it's interesting because the fitness industry, and it's changing now, but especially back then, it really had nothing to do with health. It was all about physique. It was all about how you looked on the outside, and you can look really healthy and look the way other people want to look. And it doesn't say anything about what's going on the inside. And for me, that led me down the path of disordered eating and disordered body image. And, I was surrounded by bodybuilders, all meat eating bodybuilders. They were my friends, they were my buddies. And I watched them and their eating habits. And they were, of course, obsessed with protein, terrified of carbs. They were doing the Monday through Saturday. I'm going to restrict. I'm going to eat so clean. And then on Sunday, it's cheat day. And I'm going to have a day-long binge on freaking a whole pizza and a box of donuts and whatever. So I'm watching them do that. And then I'm trying to meet the same macro counts because back then I didn't really have a role model to follow or to listen to or to have anybody. So I was kind of paving my own way as a vegan bodybuilder. And I wasn't going for the bodybuilder. I was doing more like bikini. And that's what I competed in. But I was trying to meet the same macro counts. I was restricting, counting every calorie, tracking every macro, trying to meet the same counts. And of course, plants have carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are essential for our health and performance, and they're demonized. And so trying to do all that just sent me down the road of having a really unhealthy relationship with food in my body. When I would binge, because I didn't do the like Monday through Saturday cheat thing, I just tried to be clean all the time. And then my willpower would run out, and then I'd end up binging on things like nuts and cereal, very calorie dense plant foods. I mean, I remember one night I ate an entire jar of peanut butter in one sitting,
Ooh.
and then an entire jar. And of course, then I'd hate myself for it the next day. And then I'd starve myself to make up for it and spend hours on the cardio machines trying to burn off the calories I felt guilty about. And it was that cycle. And of course, I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want anybody to know that I was struggling because here I was. This was my new path to fulfilling my life's purpose. It was to be this shining example of health and fitness. And so I didn't want anybody to know. I thought they'd blame it on me being vegan. I thought it would give veganism a bad name. So I had all this pressure on myself in a little bit of a different way that ended up being very unhealthy for me.
Well, thank you for being so open and honest, and I would say even vulnerable, because there might be a lot of people listening to this, probably not on this podcast, because most of our listeners are probably at least open to a plant-based diet, but the general public might be like, oh yeah, so you go vegan and then you have all these cravings because you're craving meat. But like anyone that's been a bodybuilder, I've worked with probably 100 people on both sides, vegan or not. I don't know if you can be a competitive bodybuilder and not walk away without some of these eating disorders. I just don't know if it's possible. I've seen it on the most disciplined, on the least disciplined, on the strongest willed people, and the people that don't already have a strong will. Like it seems like something about getting that lean almost alters your body's ever going mental state. I never really thought about food until the first time I got lean. And that was, I don't know, like 10, 11 years ago now. And I think about food all the time, even now, even when I'm bulking, when I'm cutting, doesn't really matter. My girlfriend is so smart. She's able to just pick up on me. We'll be having a conversation like right after a meal. And she's like, you're not really here right now. And I'm like, shit. And she's like, you're thinking about what you're eating next, right? Even though we just went to a vegan restaurant and had like 3,000 calories, I'm already like, so what's for the second dinner? Like, what can I work with? Whatever macros I have remaining. Anyways, I'm not trying to make this about me, but I'm just trying to say, like, thank you for being open about that, because a lot of people like yourself wouldn't. It's hard to be in that position of authority. I'm a coach. I know what I'm talking about. And I struggle with the same thing you're going through. It's weird to have the knowledge and still struggle. A lot of people just struggle without the knowledge. So
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing too, because, it's important, because so many people are going through it and there's so much shame behind it. And the only, cure to that shame is to be vocal, to be able to be vulnerable, and to do it in a safe space. Not everyone's going to do it like I did it. When I shared about it, it was on my blog and I had a lot of people reading that blog. So I kind of shared it with the world when I came out with it. You share it on your podcast, but if you can just share these things with somebody that loves you unconditionally, that, can be one other person, but sharing it is really important to start to open that conversation and be able to get on the path to healing.
Yeah. I just thought of it. You were vegan for a while before you competed. I was vegan for a long time before I even touched a weight. So I know it wasn't being vegan that made these things happen. It's being so meticulous, tracking every meal, every macro, every step, every calorie. That I think I've seen it on both sides. So yeah, it has nothing to do with being vegan. It's just being in these physique-based sports that are it feels like you have control. It feels like I can look the way I want to if I follow these rules. And then you start to make those rules for that time period become your rules for the rest of your life. I joked with Allie, my girlfriend, like, I wish for one day I could forget what macros were. Because even on like your cheat days, you're like, I probably shouldn't just dig into that jar of peanut butter. I know how much fat's in there. I know I shouldn't. Right. So
once you can't not know, right?
I'll go make some extra large bowl of the powdered peanut butter because I know the fat's lower. I'm still cheating, but I'm cheating better. It's like, I don't ever eat peanut butter. I had some the other day because I ran out of almond butter during the hurricane and I was at somebody else's house. I was like, ooh, maybe I'll try this because I need some fats and I haven't had it in months, but it's not what I'm going to pick off the shelf. So,
right. It's that constant focus. It's that constant thinking about and focus, and so much energy and so much of space, mental space going into what, when, where, how much you're going to eat every second of every day. And we have a few hours of day of working out, and we've got the rest of the entire day when it could be filled with eating and figuring out when you're going to eat next and what and how much.
That's why it sounds more restrictive. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but with my clients now, especially vegan competitors, I like to put them on meal plans so that they don't have to they don't get options. They don't get, you got 50 carbs for this meal, plan it. Like, no, like you're eating potatoes. They don't have to think about it. There's no mental game. They just follow the plan. And then when they go to the off season, they can track their macros when they're not so food focused. But I feel like that's been one way that I can alleviate some of that food anxiety, taking the planning off their plate, literally, pun intended. For me, at my level of coaching, I don't have any vegan coaches that I can reach out to that can create me a meal plan and do it along with all the other facets of my competing. So I don't know how to fix that for myself, but I feel like I can fix that for some of my competitors. Brooke, I assume it's the same with you, right? David does your macros, not a meal plan?
David does my macros, but not my meal plan. But honestly, it works for me. To me, so I was on a meal plan by a coach for a year, and but he was not vegan. He didn't really know, how to structure a vegan diet. So there was a lot of things missing, like omega-3s and a complete amino acid profile and all sorts of different things. But I personally really like macros. Like, for example, yesterday, I was able to like fit some candy corn into my macros. So for me, that works because for the longest time, for years and years and years, I would tell myself like there's good and bad foods. And so like candy corn would have been in the bad box. And it's like, you don't eat that ever. Like you have 200 calories, but no, you need to eat something with like nutritional value. Like you need to be eating whole foods and you need to eat some fruit if you want sugar. And for me, that created a lot of disordered eating, was trying to do like whole foods 100% all the time. So then it got to the place where when I did have a processed food, I did struggle with binging, and I struggled with binging for a long time. And I finally got over it. I actually went through a program I would highly recommend by Celeste Turk, and she helped me tremendously with my food issues. But basically it was kind of like fear therapy, if you guys are familiar with it. Like if you have arachnophobia and you like slowly, gradually introduce yourself to your fear. So like you'll sit there and you'll think about a spider. And then the next thing you'll look at a picture of a spider, and then you'll sit in a room with a spider, and then like you'll hold a spider, you know? So it's the same thing kind of like with introducing foods that you have fears around. So like candy or any sort of like processed food or eating out or anything like that was kind of like gave me a little bit of anxiety. But then when I let myself do it, and I didn't go crazy, I didn't binge, I just like did what a normal person would do. Like they'd have a handful of candy corn, not the entire bag. It was like, I am in control. Like I can say no, I can stop myself. So for me, that has really worked for me. So, you know, I think it's just like, it kind of just depends. Like you have to know yourself, but like I had food issues before I ever started competing. I grew up, there was just no rules around food. And I know, and like, I mean, it's just how it is in the States, but it's like every holiday is about food. Christmas is about food, you know, Thanksgiving, it's like 4th of July, like every single holiday, it's about food, every single memory, every single event. Like you go to Disney World, it's about the food. You go on a cruise, it's about the food. So, you know, I had a lot of issues with food before I ever started competing. So macros really helped me. But yeah, you have to know what works best for you. But I do think everyone does need breaks where they're not tracking everything. And I definitely do that. And I took a couple weeks off from that myself, and it was very beneficial for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. Everybody is really different and has a different relationship with food as a starting place, and everything, and it works differently. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I created just recently my emergency cravings kit. That's free for everyone to download. It really goes through the different reasons why you eat first, and then takes you through a really simple 5-step process and it's called the peace process for what to do when you feel a craving come on. So you pause, you evaluate, you anticipate, you choose, and you execute. And it gives you that framework of what to do. And all it takes is about 30 seconds of pausing before you make a choice about what you're going to eat.
That's exactly what I did in that program. That's exactly, and she was a licensed therapist and everything, and she would have me. So like before I would actually eat, I'd have to stop and I'd have to journal my thoughts.
Right. Yes.
Why am I eating this? Is this going to make me feel good? And it really made me actually think about, okay, do I really want to do this? Because how am I going to feel after? And it's that slight pause, because I think that's most people's problem, is that it's just an impulsive decision. Like it's kind of like their lizard brain, like, oh, we're sad, eat some chocolate, that's going to make us feel better, you know? And so you're really not cognitively thinking through your food. So just being mindful about your choices is huge. And once you can finally do that before actually eating something, that's the ticket. Yeah.
Right. It's like we have this urge or a craving and we think we have to act on it right away. Right. And a lot of times we're just trained, our subconscious programming is trained such that that's what we do. Like that's what we've learned to do. When we feel a certain way, we want to run and hide from your negative emotions, and you cover them up with food, or you reward yourself. Right. We were given treats as a kid when we did something good, had good behavior. So we're just trained, and that's habitual. So it's really important to be able to pause and take that step back and evaluate.
My willpower for binging is significantly less if I'm high, if I've smoked.
Oh, yes.
I've noticed, like, I don't like to clean after I smoke, but I'll be like, all right, if you clean the whole kitchen, you can make yourself an extra hot chocolate and it doesn't count. And I'll do that most nights. So no weed for me during prep, more than likely. But a better alternative to that, like you said, I think. Well, first, I want to pause. How can they find that? What's the best way? Is it you have a link to your
Yes.
Instagram or
start.sexyfitvegan.com.
start.sexyfitvegan.com. That's pretty easy, guys. If you need that, go check it out.
I need to download that for sure.
It's a good
I've been telling clients this. I should tell myself this. It would make a lot of sense. They're like, I'm hungry at night though. And I'm like, are you really though? Next time text me when you're hungry. And they'll text me. I'll say, go drink 8 ounces of water.
Oh.
If they drink the water and I'm like, you still hungry? They're like, a little. I'm like, eat a pickle. And they're like, but I don't really like pickles. I said, then you're not hungry.
Right. Exactly.
If you were hungry, if you were starving, you'd eat a pickle. So I do that with myself. Like, I'm like, are you really hungry? Would you eat a bowl of broccoli right now? And I'm like,
right.
Nope. I just want cookies. I want cookies, but I don't need them. I'm not hungry.
You know, I do think though, like veganism, bodybuilding, fitness, everything aside, I feel like our society just has so many issues with food. I mean, I'm sure you guys see it with your clients too. Like, it was just, I think yesterday I saw this article about Janet Jackson. She's going on tour, and the headline was something like she had lost 50 pounds in like X amount of days just by eating broccoli. All she did was eat broccoli. And I'm like, why would they be telling people this? There's going to be hundreds of people who actually go do that because they read that. They're going to actually just go eat broccoli. So, and like, I mean, just all the shows we've watched growing up. And I remember like, you know, when magazines and tabloids were big, like going to the store and it would be like Jessica Simpson on a magazine and be like, she's gained 10 pounds. Like, oh my gosh, she's awful. Like, we don't like her anymore, basically. So I feel like our society is just really backwards. I feel like it is changing now, luckily, but you know, a lot of people have issues with food. So you don't have to be a competitive bodybuilder or anything. I mean, it's just our society.
Go look at 3 out of every 4 adults in the United States. I bet they aren't vegan, but they're overweight. It's really like an epidemic, at least nationwide. And I don't know. I went to Spain back in 2016, 2017, and it was not like this. Like, the fat people were the people visiting from here. I did want to tie back in just because it's really poignant to the previous topic you're talking about, like your fears, Brooke, like how people can combat them. So I was at the Vegan Foodie Fest this last weekend, and this guy came by, and he's never tried anything vegan. He said, I said, walk with me. You let me film it. I'm gonna film you eating a cinnamon roll, and you were gonna lose your mind. So him and his friends came, and he ate the cinnamon roll, and he freaking loved it. He's like, "Oh my god, this is good." And we started talking for a bit, and then we started talking about tattoos. He's like, "All my tattoos mean something." Well, except for this one. This one's kind of stupid. It's just a spider. And I was like, "Okay, why'd you get it?" He's like, "Well, I'm scared of spiders." I said, "Dude, that's fucking awesome, man! Like, just leaning into it." I bet, like, with that mindset, if you're scared of something or don't want to try it, and he was willing to try the vegan cinnamon roll, like, that's a man willing to change, willing to embrace hard stuff. So I don't know, your story about how you can get acclimated to spiders didn't say tattoo one on your arm, but I thought that was interesting.
That's good.
All about mindset. So, all right, Ella, I want to be respectful of your time and also kind of see where you're at now. So we were talking earlier, you know, 7-year-old's vegetarian, 15 is vegan, leading protests, maybe early college age, starting to be like, maybe the world's not fully ready for this, but I'm still going to be vegan. Where are you at now? I know you can talk about Vegans Explore a little bit if you want, but also, like, what are you up to, and how are you being that impact? Because I know you are, but maybe the others don't.
Yeah, good question. So I ended up I founded Sexy Fit Vegan, the brand, in 2013. And that was, it was just that I was going out to restaurants and people actually knew what the word vegan was. And I felt like it was time to bring it back, but to bring it back in a really positive, mainstream kind of way. And this was, you know, at a time when it was still like, okay, if you think about marketing and all, at that point, I was just personal training, teaching classes, and sex sells. So sexy, fit, vegan sounds like a winner to me. I had no idea. But I was living in Miami. I was 33. I was having a great time. And I wanted to show people you can live your life. You can have a blast. You can be super fit. You can have fun. And be vegan, that being vegan isn't a sacrifice at all. I wanted to break the stereotypes that were still out there, that vegans are scrawny or they're hippies or they're, angry up on their soapbox. And not to say there aren't all of those types of vegans out there, but it's not the way to be a vegan. And I wanted to own the word vegan, and people were like, well, maybe you should say plant-based, maybe you should go that route. And I was like, look, I am vegan. Like at my core, I am vegan. I am proud of being vegan. And I want to be this positive inspiration around that word. So that's why I went with vegan. Very few influencers or whatever out there. Created a website, started a blog, got a lot of recognition at first, got in some mainstream publications like bodybuilding.com and Shape Magazine. I got approached by a publishing company who wanted to do a book with me. Started getting on podcasts. I was on my very first podcast was Victoria Moran's podcast. And this was before they were just on like Apple Podcasts. Hers was like a radio show. And I just remember I was so nervous. I had no experience doing these sort of things. It was live and it's a phone call, like you're on a phone call, and the phone call kept dropping. And there I was with Victoria Moran, and the phone kept dropping. It was live. It was a disaster. I was like, oh my God. So I've come a long way, but I had no idea how I was going to monetize it. Eventually I was training a business coach who said, Ella, how would you like to do a group coaching program online? And I was like, that sounds phenomenal. I would love that. And that's before, a ton of group coaching programs were out there. And within 1 month, and I had really was ready to leave the personal training world at that moment. Within 1 month, I had a group coaching program up. I was selling, and she's like, how would you like to get on the phone and make a sale for, a few $1,000s into a coaching program? And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't ask somebody for thousands of dollars. That's crazy. And I did it. And I created a really valuable program. I sold it. We did Facebook ads. We did the whole thing. And what I learned pretty quickly, even though the programs were focused on the actual food, on making that transition to a plant-based way of life, I realized that so many people really needed help with their relationship with the food. That was kind of my specialty at that point. I had healed my own relationship with food. I had gone back to school. I got my master's degree in social work. I got certified as an eating disorder recovery coach. And so my program started to shift to be more focused on our relationship with food and building that. So now to this day, I'm actually launching a brand new program that's really almost completely focused on relationship with food to help people with their emotional eating, help people with disordered eating, people that feel out of control with their cravings. So we're doing a challenge the first week in December, and then we launched this new program in January. I couldn't be more excited. It's really great for not only people that are vegan, but it's even great for people that are just kind of open to maybe moving in the direction of plant-based. Because it's not like, here's a meal plan you need to follow. It's really about a lot of self-discovery work and about creating new patterns, new habits, new mindset around food, creating that healthy relationship where you can really have eating be aligned with what you want for yourself in the short term, your health and fitness goals, as well as in the long term.
Wow.
Love it.
Oh, wow. So is it the same website to get to that, or is that a different website?
Yeah, I recommend if that's something that is appealing to anyone to go ahead and go to start.sexyfitvegan.com, grab that Cravings toolkit, and then you'll get some emails that'll keep you up to date. I also do a soul aligned Sunday newsletter. So, I've been on a very spiritual path the last few years as well. So my newsletter is called Soul Aligned Sunday. Sexy, I've redefined that over the years. I'm 44 now and really owning what sexy means to me. I mean, compassion is sexy. Sexy stands for soul aligned, embracing your body, exploring life playfully, and you being you. So it's all about confidence and authenticity. And So yeah, if they sign up for the Cravings Toolkit, and you can go to sexyfitvegan.com as well. I've got a great podcast that's out there, the Vegan Life Coach podcast, that'll really also talk about tools for building a healthy relationship with food and your body. And then this toolkit and the challenge coming up is going to be transformational. It's a really big deep dive. It's a 4-day deep dive, this challenge, into really understanding your cravings and then applying that framework and being able to get to a place where you feel really in control of your food choices.
I love it.
That's great.
And
it's going to help a lot of people.
I think so.
If you had said you were 34, I would have believed you. So for anybody that's not watching, she is doing a phenomenal job on all aspects: activism, fitness. Thank you, Ella. It's been really, really nice having you on here. Do we have any more plugs or questions, Brooke?
Any
final ones, fun ones? What's your favorite food group or favorite meal?
Oh, God, I'm going to sound so boring, but I'm a salad for breakfast kind of girl. And my salad, and it's on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, my salad, there's something really special about my salad that I eat every day. And I'm telling you this because my friend Anne, who runs Hogs and Kisses Farm Sanctuary, which you guys have got to come visit us at Hogs and Kisses. We're about to get our 2 turkey. It's a micro sanctuary. It's my best friend. Helped her go vegan about 12 years ago. And she has now moved to Virginia, and we have a sanctuary up there that I helped found. Anyway, she's not a salad person. She doesn't like salad that much. And I got her on the salad, and I saved a message that she did an audio message, and she goes, Ella, she's like, what the hell is up with this salad? She goes, I don't understand it. She's like, I think I'm addicted to this damn salad. She goes, there's something crazy about this salad. So I'm telling you, there's something crazy about this salad. Not only is it so delicious, it also has over 30 grams of protein in it. So it is a high protein salad, but it doesn't feel like you've eaten this massive amount. Super satisfying. It's my Nutrilicious kale and white bean salad. And we should put a link to my YouTube little recipe on it.
You've piqued my interest.
Ooh, yes. I had a salad for breakfast this morning, so I'm right there with you.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's just the easiest way to get like a ton of nutrients in, is to just dump a bunch of veggies in a bowl. Like, it's just the easiest way.
Yes, but I'm not going to give it away right now. I think people need to go, and I think I should make it for you. You're not too far away. Yeah.
Y'all go check it out. Yeah, you got to make it for me when I come down next. Yeah. John said he's had it. Yum. I believe it. Yeah, I've never been a big salad person. My mind is now opened. Thank you, Allie. We went to Dina's Vegan Deli and Desserts down in your neck of the woods. And Allie got a salad. And I'm like, I want the Philly cheese sub. I want the taco pizza. I want all this other stuff. And then I'll try a bite of your salad. And I ate like half her salad because it was that. I'm like, okay. I think after almost 2 decades of, you're vegan, you can eat a salad. I'm like, right. I don't want your lettuce with nothing else, with no dressing, because you don't have anything. Like, that's not what I want. I want food, but I'll give yours a shot. That sounds really good. So
when I go out to eat, I eat salad literally every day as my first meal of the day. And this salad, it doesn't feel like you're eating a salad because it's so hearty and creamy, and it's because I'm a comfort food kind of person. I'm from North Carolina, so I love me some good vegan comfort food. I eat Friday nights usually. You call it polenta because it sounds so much more fancy than grits, but it's grits. It's grits with with grilled veggies and tofu, but also it's got vegan cheese on it. It's my treat Friday meal, but it's so good. So I love creamy comfort food. I'm not just like a raw vegan who just eats raw veggies all the time. It's so yeah. Sean had it. He had it up in at the sanctuary actually. Yeah.
Sweet. Also, you said you're getting turkeys?
We are. 2 turkeys.
Perfect timing. That was the meal that made me go vegetarian fully. I had been removing animals for months. I don't think I'd eaten an animal in like 3 months. Fish was the last thing. I remember the last bite of fish I had. I thanked the fish for giving up its life. And then I was like, I don't want to have to thank a fish again. I'm done with this. And then turkey was obviously Thanksgiving. And I looked at the plate and I was like, nah, nah, that was the last one. That was my I'll eat meat once a year, so I'm not a vegetarian. I said, fuck that. Like, done. So I think you guys playing with some turkeys and putting that out there, that might help all these people that are about to just, oh, it's turkey day. It's like, well, if we love turkeys, then why the hell are we eating them? But cool. All right. Ella, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna have to go try a new salad. That's on my to-do list. Brooke, anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Appreciate
right.
you guys.
Well, you guys go subscribe to Ella. Go get in her coaching program. Hit us up if you need a bodybuilding coach. So then another super fun educational episode of the Vegans Who Live podcast. Leave us a message for us to be able to answer your questions, and like everything and share it and help us grow. We love you. All right, we're out.